It's like Darth Maul, bro is too angry to die. How's it going, YouTube lovers? This is PixelEagle138, aka the Eagle Builder Animator. Welcome back to the episode of Eagle Gamer. Today, I'm here for another video checking out a Minecraft Java snapshot. It's another snapshot review. This is for Java 25W31A, and it is one that I have been waiting for. The features have already been in Bedrock preview for a bit now, but I'm primarily a Java player, so I was waiting to really check them out, and now they're finally here in Snapshot, and I'm very excited for these features, particularly as someone who is not a super big redstone genius who prefers things to be more simplified. I think this is a really cool update. You can already see a little bit of it behind me right now, but let's go ahead and get into it. That is going to be the last thing we're going to be checking out, is the exciting part behind me. So let's get into everything that this snapshot has to offer and check out all these features. The first feature is actually another interesting one. It is the shelf. So this is one that honestly kind of came out of nowhere for me. You could make it with any type of wood, and the way that you craft it is just like this. You use stripped oak logs or stripped warps, or not even just oak or anything, just stripped logs or stripped stems or stripped bamboo, and you could make these shelves. So you could do with all of these right here super easily. If I would stop clicking that spot, there we go. And then with the bamboo as well. And these kind of act a bit like item frames, which is pretty interesting. So if I go ahead and I'm just gonna put up a little bit of a wall right here, and I put this shelf on here, you can see that there are 3 slots on here. If I right click on this, it puts the entire stack in there. So unlike an item frame, which only holds 1 item, the shelf, each spot can hold like an entire stack of items, and then you right click and you get that entire stack back. And as you can see, you could do this all over the place. I've already seen some really cool building stuff with this because they're basically finally giving us vertical slabs. So you can go through and you can put this in any spot that you want, and it actually looks pretty cool. But these have a little bit more of an interesting functionality to them because you could actually power them with redstone. And if I do that, you see that it changes texture. And now when I right click on it, it takes 3 items out of my hotbar. Like here, I can make it more obvious by doing this. If I right click on this with any spot, any part of my hotbar, it puts the last 3 items in there. And you can power stuff up and actually link these shelves up to 3 in a row. So now if I click on this, these 2 are linked, it takes the last 6 items of my hotbar. And then if I go over here and power this last one, it takes my entire hotbar. And this is actually pretty interesting. Like, that's why I have all of this other stuff here that I can grab. So if I go ahead and I grab all of these items right here, I put this in a very specific order, but of course the game's like, nah, that's not how it's gonna work. Because you can go ahead and I have all my diamond gear. I have a bow, I have an arrow, I have some stake, and I have some oak blocks right there. If I go ahead and I grab all of the netherite and stuff, this crossbow with rockets, notch apples, and stone bricks, and I just like, I have a different hotbar setup that I want to use. Say you could store like a combat hotbar for going out just to fight some mobs, or you could have like a building hotbar setup, or just anything like that. I can just walk up to it, right click, it switches the entire hotbar and just replaces it. It's not just, it doesn't take stuff, it just takes stuff out, it also swaps it. So you could have like different presets loaded if you're like a super organized person that wants to do that, and you can just swap between them as easily as this. Again, it starts from the right side of your hotbar at the 9 slot and just works its way over up until you have 3 in a row. It does not, let me get this out of the way so I can actually use these for a second here, because I want to show off the textures. If I go ahead and grab more of these shelves right here, let me also grab this wood. I put another 3 like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and power all of these up. As you can see, there is a bar in the middle right here because you cannot link more than 3 in a row like this. But if I go ahead and I turn this one off, and then let's see if I turn this one off, those are linked. Hold on, let me unlink all of them. And if I just do these 3, boom, there we go. Now these 3 are linked just like that, and these still work as individual ones. I think this is really interesting. Again, I believe they also put out like redstone signal if you slap a comparator on it, depending on how much stuff is in it, which might get a little complicated, you know, trying to power it at the same time. But one thing I think is going to be really interesting about this is the whole building aspect, because one thing that I've already seen people use this for, let me go ahead and actually step outside here for a second so you can see it. You know, like, imagine this is like quartz. People like to do like pillars to make it look like ancient Roman builds. Usually you'd have to put like quartz stairs at the bottom or something like that to give like that proper effect. But now you can place this here and boo, I'll just do this. Let me craft some more real fast just to get the full effect. And if I do this, yes, you can place them sideways as well as you see, and it does take an axe to break them like every other wood object. If you place it just like that, look at that. You've got a nice pillar that doesn't actually take up that much room. And also because you can place them directionally, let me go ahead and grab another one here. You can make like fences, fences that you can jump over and also don't take up the full block and aren't in the middle of the block. For example, if I wanted this right here to be fenced off, it placed on the far side like that. So unfortunately you can't connect them on a corner, but if you just want like a row sticking out, you just do this. And let me go ahead and make a little bit more of the bamboo just so I can get my point across here. There we go. And then I place it like this. Look at that. You've got an area that is basically still 3 blocks wide, not exactly. And it's got a little fence. It looks nice, and you don't have to worry about, like, you know, an actual fence being in the middle and you being unable to jump over it. So I think, for me personally, I would use this more for decorative building, but I could see some interesting functionality. I'm sure that redstone geniuses are going to have fun with this one. But this is the first feature that we have to go over the snapshot. There's still plenty to go over, so let's go ahead and get right to the next one, which is actually a change to an existing feature. The next feature is a little bit of a tweak, but it's more in line with what's coming up, is that the fact that lightning rods now can oxidize. So before we just had the regular lightning rod, we know what it looks like at this point. The antenna like this, lightning comes down and strikes it. But now if you leave it out long enough, it will actually begin to oxidize, and it will reach it has all 4 stages of oxidation like all the other copper items in the game. But then if you use a honeycomb, you could actually lock its oxidation in place so that it will not oxidize any further. And same thing, I believe if you go up to it with an axe and you right click, you get the wax scraped off of it so that it will begin oxidizing again. So this is just a little bit of a feature, but it does connect to the stuff we're about to talk about. And I do like that they're adding more consistency with copper items in this game. There is a couple more things we're about to talk about right now, which I do hope they eventually add oxidation states to. I don't know how they do it. It'd probably take a little bit of change to the game's code, but I think it would work really well. Because that next feature is copper equipment. This includes armor, horse armor, weapons, and tools, which is pretty cool. Again, copper armor, unfortunately, you can't craft it, so still the only horse armor that you can craft is leather horse armor, but you can craft all this copper gear and all of this like that, and they do have copper nuggets now, which you can get by smelting weapons, tools, and armor in a furnace, and you'll get a copper nugget. Same thing with like chainmail, iron, and gold tools. And if you go to the craft table, again, it's the exact same recipes as everything. Go ahead and do this. Got myself copper chest plate, copper legs, copper helmet, and copper boots. And just like that, I have a full set of copper armor. If I recall correctly, these are the same stats that is it chainmail iron? Hold on, I have to double check now. There we go. Let me see the iron helmet, +2, +6. Okay, so it's a little worse than armor. And if I go to the chain, +5, +4, +3, +1. It seems to be similar to chainmail a little bit, but essentially, like, the main thing about this is the tools like this, is that it is meant to be a step between, especially like the pickaxe and things like that, a step between stone and iron. Because copper is pretty abundant in Minecraft the way it spawns in. In fact, you can see some of the copper ore right over there. And it didn't have too much use, but now if you have a lot of that, maybe you're running low on iron, but you need new gear, very early game kind of thing, you can just make yourself some copper equipment, or if you just want to make some throwaway items, you have plenty of copper, so now you have another use for it, so you can save maybe your stone, instead of making like a quick like stone pickaxe or something to go on a mining expedition, you can just make a bunch of copper pickaxes, because the copper pickaxe has the same breaking level as a stone pickaxe. It just lasts a little bit longer. So you still can't mine like diamonds. You would want to save your iron pickaxe for that or higher. But for just general mining, if you're like trying to clear out an area and you have a lot of excess copper, you can just make a bunch of copper pickaxes, and you could like work on some terraforming or something like that. So I think this is nice. Again, I hope it'd be cool if they give this like other usefulness, because it seems to be kind of like I had to look it up right there just to see the difference between some of these. It's in kind of a strange in between state when it comes to tiers of gear. But hey, maybe this means that that horse armor would be more common, so you can get the copper horse armor. But in general, I think it's a good change to make. It makes a lot of sense. But now, obviously, we just need to go, hey, Mojang, when emerald armor? I mean, we've got copper armor now, when emerald armor. So that's the only thing I could see out of this. But in general, I think it's a good change, even if I don't fully get its full purpose yet. I hope that they give it a little more functionality to make it more unique. But in general, I think it's overall positive just to add more functionality for copper. And that is why I saved the best for last, which is a huge new use for copper. It is the return, actually, of a familiar face. The last features I have to go over today are the copper chest and the copper golem. Yes, we do have the copper golem in the game now. This was one of the mobs that lost a mob vote previously for Minecraft Live. I also voted against it because its original functionality is nowhere near as useful as its new functionality. It is not the same as it used to be. Before, the copper golem was meant to be like a randomizer where it would randomly push copper buttons. But everyone's like, we could just have a chicken and a pressure plate. We don't really need that. Well, now they've given it new functionality, which is actually really interesting and gives a whole new type of usefulness for like redstone noobs such as myself, but also redstone pros. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. First, let's talk about the copper chest. And the copper golem also has different oxidation states, so do the copper chest. Pretty much everything does except for the tools and armor. But to make a copper chest, you can craft this easily yourself by just surrounding a chest with copper ingots, and you get yourself a copper chest. So here's the copper chest. It has a little bit of a different sound because, you know, it's not wood creaking on hinges. It's a fully metal chest. Holds about the same as a regular chest, and you can also double it up just like a regular chest. Same as everything. And you could also, I'm pretty sure, let me grab this. If you hold shift, you can also wax the chest to keep it in an oxidation state. And if you shift right click with an axe, you can also take the wax right off. I'm going to go ahead and keep this in my inventory, the honeycomb in my inventory. But there's actually another way that you can get the copper chest, and that is with the copper golem. Because you could just build these guys. And it's pretty straightforward. And you could use any of these. I'm going to grab a couple of these here for demonstration purposes. If I head over here, I have this whole area set up because I have a lot of stuff here. It's a little bit disorganized, even though it clearly is set in a pattern. I want to actually organize this, including non-stackable items such as the mace. Well, that is where our friend, the copper golem, is going to come into play. If we put a carved pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern on top of any oxidation state of a copper block, we get ourselves a copper golem. And he also comes with a copper chest when you spawn him in, which is pretty nice. If you see, he's immediately going to the copper chest and he takes out 16 of the first item that he sees, and then he's going to start looking in chests until he finds either a matching item or an empty chest. Because the copper golem is hopperless item sorting, which is pretty cool. And the copper golems will take items out of copper chests and put them into regular chests. And that includes trap chests as well. This is really cool. And again, like I was saying, he's going through the lapis here, and see again, he's like, oh, I can't put it in here. There's honey bottles. But he looks here and goes, ah, there's already lapis in here. I could put it in this chest. And that's the way that this guy works, and I think it makes it actually really interesting. If you just put one of an item type in a chest, it basically determines whether or not the copper golem will put anything in that chest. And as you see, now that he's gotten through all of the lapis, the next item he'd look at would be the, oh, sorry, I can go do it when I'm in the chest, my bad. But the next item is the mace, and so now he's holding the mace and he's looking for a place to put it. Because unlike hoppers, the copper golem is actually able to go through and search excuse me, non-stackable items, which has always been a difficulty for things with hopper sorting systems. But now the copper golem can do it. As you can see, he's going to follow a pattern, so you want to be careful with how you place the chest. Or like I said, make sure there's a sturdy item in here, because I put a mace in this chest, but since he started on this path, he's going down this path first, so we ended up putting a mace in this chest instead. But this is incredibly useful. Again, like I said, I am not very good at super complicated redstone or even slightly complicated redstone, so having a little guy who could just do it for me, I think is huge. And it's super useful, like I said, also being able to sort non-stackable items. If you come back from a big mining trip, you could just dump all your ores into one chest, and then the copper golem or copper golems, because you can have a bunch of them, will just sort it out for you. But there is another thing you can actually do with these little guys, and that is why I have the oxidized copper. Because like I said, these guys do oxidize over time, and you could stop it with honeycomb, like you can with everyone else. But if you spawn in a copper golem with the oxidized copper block, or if he oxidizes fully, you watch him here, and he's a little mob, he's doing his thing. I'm gonna go ahead and mine this chest, but after a little bit, he should turn into a statue, which is an actual mineable block. Now let's see, this was pretty quick in the Minecraft Bedrock preview, but I'm not sure how quick it is on Java. We'll let this guy do his thing for a bit while he and his buddies sort out the chest. But if I'm gonna head back over here because it is nighttime. I am letting the cycle go because I have an iron farm over here, just to show that I have copper golems working the iron farm that I have set up. But there are actually copper golem statues that you can get, and that is what I have right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab all of these, and it is a block, no longer a mob. You can place it down, you can mine it up with a pickaxe, or you can actually mine it up with your bare hand as well. It's just faster with a pickaxe. It's no problem at all. But what's interesting about these is they actually have different poses, and each of those poses will let off a different redstone signal, as you can see here. So the default pose, where he's just standing straight up, lets out one signal of redstone when you put a comparator on him. The second pose, where he's sitting, will let out a 2 signal of redstone. One where he's kind of walking forward, lets out 3, and then one where he is doing like a star pose, like he's doing jumpy jacks, lets out a 4 signal, and then he just cycles back before. And you just right click on them, and you can cycle through all of his poses just like that. And like I said, they have different oxidation states. So eventually, that little guy over there, I hope it works. I hope we'll see it at some point before the end of the video. He turns into a statue. Maybe it's because he's working. Maybe if he didn't have anything to do. Let me try this. Let me try this. I'm gonna break this. Oh, I just realized a problem. Hold on. Let me get myself a chest and give them a place to put this, because I just realized they got to the one item that will not sort because there is a mace in this chest. But there we go. Now they can put the amethyst down, and after that, they can't do anything. Like, I think he could spot where there's other copper chests, and he's trying to get to them, but he can't get to them. There's a fence. I am sorry, buddy. And in theory, after a bit, this oxidized one is going to... Go ahead and take that off him so you can see if he oxidizes. Eventually, he's going to turn into a statue. Again, I hope that's working. But it's like another little decorative item that you can have, and you could even use it for like a code combination to get into like a building using a redstone signal that you set up, which is pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and time set day here. But the copper golem has a lot going on for it. Again, it brings in the copper chests, which look really cool to be anyway. It's an item sorter. You've got little statues with it. I really like these guys. I think that is looking like a very utility focused drop that they're doing for this next version of Minecraft. As you can see right here, wow, I had this chest completely full right before I started recording, and they already sorted through everything. Hold on. Let's fix this here. Give me iron ingots. Give me poppies. Here. I'm gonna do this exact same thing. Hey, put that in there. Yeah, they will not enter the chest while I'm in it, so they won't take items while I'm trying to grab it, which is a nice feature. But now that I've closed the chest, they're going to rush over because, you know, when you build an iron farm, it's pretty standard that you want one in your survival world. The iron golems actually have 2 drops, the ever-precious iron ingot and the poppy. But you don't want the poppies, like, gunking things up, maybe, so you want to sort them all the way out. But as you can see here, they are putting the iron ingots into this chest, which I have currently hooked up to a crafter, if this little guy will move, thank you. A crafter that is just set with all spaces open, and so it is going to just spit out a bunch of iron blocks. So now, with very minimal redstone, like the only redstone that I have here, again, the crafters, 2 comparators, a repeater, and 1 piece of redstone dust, along with a hopper. That's technically a redstone item, but I mean, you're using hoppers anyway for the farm. With very minimal redstone, I have an iron farm set up that is going to auto-sort the items that I have and craft it into iron blocks. Again, minimal redstone. You could absolutely do this with a standard item sorter, but now you don't have to. And it honestly adds more flair to your world to see these little guys walking around doing their job. It's like you're not alone here. You have these little guys doing their thing, and I love it. Turn into a statue already, please. I don't want you around anymore. I want you to turn into a statue. But yeah, this is the first thing I thought of when I saw the copper golem. Was like, ooh, using like iron farms to sort out iron from poppies, or using gold farms to sort out like the gold and the rotten flesh from all the other junk. Again, there's still other items and other ways that you could use for sorting. But I just like these guys. Like this, like I said, more flair to it. It's more straightforward for someone like me who is not super competent when it comes to redstone. I'm very basic in the kind of things that I build. But I think these guys are great. I would like to see, however, I don't know how, if they have like stuff in the code that will let them do this already, but I would love to see, because as you see, like their design, it looks like they've got a lightning rod on their heads. I would love if these guys could actually get struck by lightning, and if that has some kind of effect, because then maybe you could have some kind of, I don't know, like some kind of like interesting like mob farm that uses lightning somehow, or maybe to get charged creepers in some way. Like you can use these guys to help you out. I don't know how that would work. It might still just be simpler to use a regular lightning rod, just having the creepers flow to one spot with a lightning rod. But I just think that these guys are awesome, and I want to see more use for them, because I think they're off to a pretty good start so far. And again, look at these. You just have these guys walking around your world. I wish this one wasn't walking. And they're just chilling. Like, it's pretty cool. I am wondering if him turning into a statue is not working on this snapshot, because like I said, I saw videos of the Bedrock preview version that had this, and this... look away. If I get rid of him, I think it's because he sees this chest over here that he's kind of freaking out. Can you just statue-wise for me? Here, let me try something. I'm gonna fly over here, away from them, so that he can't see the copper chest. See, they aren't even in spawning range anymore. Actually, no, they still are. What the heck? Go away. I forgot. I probably have that turned up pretty high now. But if I go over here, far away, he cannot see what's going on. And I'm going to go to this little area over here. Boom, there we go. And then I just spawn this sucker in. When are you going to turn into a statue? I just want to see you turn into a statue. It's nothing personal. I just want to see you become a statue. No? Really? Okay. But like I say, we got these statue things, but you can also, because when he turns into a statue, he's going to look like this. But what if you want one of the ones that actually has a little bit more of the copper, like orange hue to it? Well, then you just take an axe, right click, and it will just keep going back a phase until it's all the way here. And if you right click him again, you'll bring him back to life. That's what I was hoping to do on the other guy, but I had to do it on you instead. I am sorry. But like I said, this is Snapshot 25W31A. I think it's a pretty solid one. Again, it feels like it's a lot of like utility and potentially redstone related. like functionality that you've got going here, which is pretty cool. And again, look at these little guys. They're just sorting all my iron out and everything, and it's looking great. I love this. Again, my iron farm may not be working perfectly because obviously there's probably a lot of caves underneath us that I didn't clear out before building this, but I just copy pasted a structure block file that I saved from a super flat. This is just to prove a point that the copper golems have a practical use, especially for those who don't fully understand item sorters with hoppers. Again, it gets a little complicated after a little bit. So I really like this. Again, good changes here. I think it's a much better version of the copper golem from what they were teasing at Minecraft Live when they first introduced him. And I do hope copper does get more use. Again, I'd like to see the tools and the armor get oxidized. I think that would be really interesting. Gosh, I'm just thinking we have like, I think that we have like a new longest name in the game now with this. I think it's this one. This is the new longest item name in the game. Waxed Weathered Copper Golem Statue. Which is kind of crazy that we keep just like the last few updates just keep adding longer and longer names. And it's largely because of copper. Because of the waxed states that they have there and everything. But like I said, this was Snapshot 25W31A, and I think it looks pretty good. Again, I like the fact that they're being a lot more rapid fire with this. I know that people have probably some of their issues with game drops, but the major updates felt kind of small in comparison anyway. So getting a lot of these like smaller drops, which honestly have about the same amount of useful content as the larger updates were, is pretty nice. And I'm happy to just get more opportunities to do snapshot reviews and check out all these new features. And we are getting to the latter half of the year, which does mean we are a few months out probably from the next Minecraft Live. And I absolutely will be planning on doing a live stream reaction to that show when it comes out and they reveal another upcoming drop. So have that to look forward to as well. But for now, I'm going to leave it here because we've got copper golems. This guy refuses to turn into a statue. Maybe it's bugged right now. Maybe this just isn't working. I don't really know. Again, maybe it's because he could see a copper chest. Okay, experiment. Before I wrap up this video, if I fully break this, there are no copper chests around. Literally zero. I have none down in the world. Are you going to turn into a statue now? Come on. You're not even on slabs, because I don't think they can turn into statues if they're sitting on like a slab or something, and they'll like walk to the nearest full block to turn into a statue. But come on. Is this bugged on Java right now? It is a snapshot. There are going to be bugs. That's kind of just the whole point of it. Just part of the game. Man, I was really hoping just to watch him turn into a statue during this, but okay. I guess this guy just refuses to die, basically. It's like Darth Maul. Bro is too angry to die. But yep, I'm gonna let him enjoy his life. Just leave him there. No, he still has the entity shadow. He's not a block yet. But I'm just gonna leave this guy here while I do the outro. Was kind of hoping he turned into a statue right there, but I guess it is what it is. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Please drop a like and a comment down below if you did. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you all on the next one. Bye, guys!